Stupid rain. This is Southern California. I didn't move here from Oregon for this. Anyway, thought I'd give you a quick shop tour update. And there's a disaster in there. Most people clean it up. If you remember before, I had a little Delta Taiwan horizontal bandsaw sitting here that I'd said I'd had forever, and just when you turn it on, it runs. What you see now is two Johnson bandsaws, big house ones. I bought this one first, and then it was at an auction, and this wasn't in the auction, and I picked it up, and I've got it tore apart right now, but and I went out, didn't expect rain, and of course it rains, but both saws run really good. I'm just replacing bearings and things like that right now. And my plan on this is I'm going through it and I'm basically cleaning it all up and rebuilding it, but I'm not going to repaint it. I'm just going to leave it the way it is, just kind of seal it up, kind of like the you see with like the people do with cars and trucks, as far as what do they call it? I mean, not really the rat rod one, but the patina look, so that's the plan. Oliver table saw is still here. The Walker Turner bandsaw, 16-inch Walker Turner bandsaw that I restored. Let's see if you can see it for the most part. I've got my Yates American 8-inch joiner here. And I've just kind of been getting into the metalworking, so I've been packing all the woodworking stuff, just kind of piling it up. But I think some of this stuff is the same. My big Oliver woodworking vise is down in that army cabinet, and it's super cool. The old thermal arc TIG welder here. And I've got the Woodworkers Bench I'll walk around to. There's some Allura stuff that I'm trying to get rid of. And I'm going to be putting these chuck jaws and some of these old jaws that I don't need on eBay or on Practical Machinist or something like that. The M-Glow air compressor still there. Yeah. And my daughter. Still got the wall of clamps that I'm thinking as I get into the metalworking I might need to kind of build a clamp rack so that I can use the space for stuff. Hold on. This is a Torrit dust collector that came with the surface grinder. This is a Bally Cyclone dust collector that I got for woodworking, but I've never really used it. And it's on wheels, so it's just kind of right here in the way. And then behind that is the 618 Challenger Deluxe Boyer Schultz with the Walker. Looks like it's a magnetic chuck. Lines are pretty fine on it, so I don't know if you'd call it a fine line or not. Works really well. We'll just work around the garage from left to right, and you'll see there's more space. My newest project has been this Burr King 960 by 400. It's a 4-inch belt. And if you go on my Instagram, which is just another home shop guy, you'll find this where it was all white, and I used lacquer thinner and wire brushes and putty knives to peel the white paint off, and then I called Burr King and they sent me the new stickers, and it's done, ready to be put in place. It also came with this the adjustable height base, which is pretty nice. Got a little cabinet that has stuff for the surface grinder. over on this wall, this is my Takasawa lathe that I stripped and had repainted and went through it all. I replaced the sight glass for the oilers because they were pretty bad and hard to see. I've installed a VFD under the tail under the tailstock area of the base back here. I got the cover on now so you can't see it, but and I added a multi-fix. I ordered most of these parts off of eBay here, but I built this little box, installed the tachometer that I got off of eBay. Amazon is where I got most of the other parts, but I think it looks really nice. The tachometer wire runs from here and it runs down into here, and I have it aimed right at the spindle, the magnets on the spindle. And I also wired it up so that you use the original factory switch to turn on the VFD. You can hear the contactor kick on, that turns the VFD on. And so now I'll pop it in neutral so it doesn't really spin anything. And so now I also installed the Analem. It's an Accurite View, but it's branded Analem Wizard. I wired it up with the, oh no, I want it in gear. I wired up the original switch to run the VFD, so when I pop it in forward, it runs. And here's the RPM. I've got it set at the 1030 speed, so works pretty good. I wired in the foot brake. It sounded funny because I pressed it slow. And but if I do that normally, you know, it won't go back on until I put it here, turn it off, and then I can turn it back on. Fires right up. You know, and then again, I can just bring it to a dead stop with the brake, and that kills the VFD. It doesn't turn off the VFD, it hits the emergency stop on the VFD, which is the same thing this button does. Anyway, that's that. I also included a little jog in case I needed it. You can see there's a little more space over here. I'm trying to keep it spaced appropriately in this area so I can actually get work done. I picked up this cabinet when I picked up the sander at the same auction, and it came with a slew of fun stuff, you know, like another multi-fix and a bunch of B size bars and some expanding mandrels and the geometric die head, stuff like that. So I really like this cabinet, so I decided to keep it after I got it. Once I saw it and picked it up, it's nothing fancy, but it's heavy duty and it'll serve its purpose. State spindle sander is just kind of over here in the middle of the way. The guy I bought the lathe and this mill from, that I'll show you in a second, said for, you know, $150 I could get all the spare metal stock that he had. So that's what you see here. This is all, I think it's brass. We got some steel, and then you see some more over here. And then the rest of it that I got from him, well, actually there's more, but you see all this here. This is a Monarch Tools Camelback Straightedge that I got. The Straightedge? No, it's a Camelback. And recently, I got straight edge on my mind. I recently picked up this 4-foot Brown and Sharp straight edge. This is the mill I picked up when I picked up the lathe. And it's another Taiwan import. It's an ABC Bridgeport clone that I added. It came with the servo power feed, but I added these two Taiwan-made Align power feeds. And I completely disassembled the head and went through it and cleaned it all up and put the little Kurt vise on it. And had these little weight covers and a little table cover, and then the weight covers here and back there. And it's in really nice shape. I'm really happy with it. When I bought the we'll get back to that. Let's go back over here to the other side of the table saw and the Walker Turner bandsaw. Little Hobart handler, MIG welder on a Harbor Freight stand. That Harbor Freight MIG cart is actually pretty nice. This is a Yates American, I think it's a J170 mortiser. And then this is a Max 16-inch spindle or disc sander that I picked up from a guy closing the shop. And really, I don't really need it. There's a better view of the Oliver 270 table saw. But what I thought was cool was the old company that owned it right there is their equipment tag number, Walt Disney E9383. Pretty cool. Monster fridge. This is my Woodworkers Bench. And I've got my Gerstner sitting on it. And then a little Klein rack. I like Klein tools, so I got the little Klein rack. Air hose up here. I need to mount my vices, but I got a couple vices down there. It's a Prentice 4.5-inch rear swivel jaw vise that I cleaned up and restored. And then right next to it is one of those ones that has the really tall jaw for like sheet metal. Looks just like the Prentice, doesn't have a maker's mark at all on it. It's about a 3.5 inch, and it's got a rear swivel jaw as well. And makes me think that maybe Prentice made it for Ward's or Sears and Roebuck or something back in the day, because there is no name on it. Getting tight for space to show you stuff now. Let me move back. This is a Yates J180 18-inch wood planer that I'm almost done with the restoration on, and I got sidetracked doing other stuff. There's a lot of half-done jobs in this garage, but I painted it with a Zolatone paint, and that paint is nice and it's hard, so pretty cool. Like to finish that. Come over to this side. This is a Newton E30 edge sander. It's just got stuff piled on it. All I've done to it is pick it up from the auction, clean it up, and plug it in and see if it worked. And it runs fine. It just needs lubricated and table cleaned and basically simple stuff like that. Tucked behind this, what you see, this belt sander here, is a Yates American J147 belt disc combo. I'll see if I can get you a better picture of that. Coming off of the Woodworkers Bench, I've got a Clausing 15-inch drill press that I cleaned up and restored, and little Clausing XY table, and then a Beverly B2 shear that I got at the swap meet for $40. and thought that was a great deal because the knives are good, no chips, fantastic. This is a little 9-inch Italian coal saw that was extremely filthy, and I went through and cleaned it all up. I thought I was going to have to repaint it, but once I got it all cleaned up, it looks really nice on this kind of crappy stand. I'd like to find the original stand. So if you happen to have an MEP stand for a Scorpio 250, let me know. Got my little Hilti cabinet, and then this snap-on cabinet here. And a buddy of mine picked up this parts cabinet for me. It's got like 110 drawers, 109 drawers, something like that. It's really nice and stout as heck. You know, it is heavy duty. This long bar here is for another hand shear. That's made by Pettinghaus, is how I pronounce it. I don't know how it's really pronounced. Toolbox. And that's it for the garage. Pick this little Kennedy decimal chart up. That was pretty sweet. Let me roll back this way. Oh, there's the Yates American belt disc. At another auction, I picked up this drawer unit. I also picked up that Starrett surface plate at another auction. Now this cabinet, I didn't mean to buy it, but I did. But there was really some good stuff in it. A lot of cutters and stuff like that that are going to be useful. And they had a bunch of these, what are these, Clarkson auto locks that are all, you know, they have a little, it's like a quick change or something for a Bridgeport or something, but I don't have that. But, you know, I could just put this in I'll call it, you know, and hold it. Some keyway type cutters, slot cutters, stuff like that. A little everything. And then I have the back room still, which really nothing changed from the original video tour, other than over here I had the Baldor buffer there, Baldor carbide tool grinder there, Baldor grinder there, and right now I have them sitting right here. But the closing lathe is still there. All the KDK and 5C up in the snap-on box. Oh, I did change out my hydraulic press for this one. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's Nuger. Picked that up off of Craigslist. And it was filthy, and I cleaned it up and sold the one that I had that looked basically the same, but this is a better brand. If you need a router or belt sander, you know where to come. Cleveland twist drill cabinet. I've got my drill bits in. It was $40 at the swap meet. And then some more power tools and crap like that, you know. And a Hewitt tap. And some other stuff there. It's a Rockwell horizontal vertical combo mill that with a new lamp, you know, that I haven't put on yet. New old stock. Also picked up a couple biaxes. That's new. Picked up a little 12-inch index rotary table. Don't know if I need it. That Troike's pretty nice. Let's see. Hand planes are up there. Still got to organize. I do have some blades for the Johnson bandsaws. And then over here is still the Derrick's M5. I can't remember. The Derrick's drill sharpener. And then my Dake 1.5B press. And then the Kennedy stack. that's about it, guys. I mean, I moved these over here, the grinders over here, because I've got another bandsaw coming. I've got a 16-inch dual coming that I bought at an auction. Still waiting for the pickup time. And I need to fit it in this mess. So I've got stuff that you see, like I'm not doing the woodworking that much, so that belt disc combo, I'm going to move it and set it back here. I'm also going to move the max disc sander back here. I don't need the max disc sander. I just think it's cool, and it's in really nice shape. Hate to get rid of it. And at some point, maybe I'll expand the shop from a 2-car garage with a little room behind it to have a 2-car garage for a wood shop and a similar size for a metal shop. But if you see anything that catches your eye and you have any questions about it, or you want to see it in more detail, let me know. And more than happy. This is a little router table that has a really nice, the Porter cable router with a really nice router table. I can't remember the brand, but it's the kind that you crank up here and it raises and lowers it. I'm going to take that out of it. I'd like to build something on the table saw over there. They're kind of like people with Unisaws or Powermatic 66s or something, where they have it built into the outfeed table. So I'd like to do something like that with that Oliver. And then I don't need this. I mean, the rest of it is this is a little Lee FMT jig that I can put in the back somewhere, but the rest of it's stuff I have for the metal lathe, because I needed a place to sit it while I was working on the lathe out here, because I was set up for the closing lathe in that other room. This is another little surface plate with a little roll around base, so I may get rid of that at some point since I got the Starrett. I'm going through and cleaning up the Johnson bandsaw. Maybe I'll do some sort of video on that. The latest is this right here is where the bearing would ride, and it was this bearing here, and it when I took it apart I noticed it was loose, and it over the years this had stopped spinning and it rubbed its way here and wore it down. So what I did was I chucked this up on the lathe in the four jaw and got it all dialed in, and then turned it down a bit, so I have a little bit of space here. And maybe that's not it. Yeah, that's the one. So this is 17 millimeter, or for a 17 millimeter shaft, and this was 16.2 millimeter, and so it was just loose, just a little loose. So I turned it down. I turned it down to 0.5050 inches. Actually, when I checked it, it was like 0.5047, a little bit under. And I did that because I have a new reamer here that's 0.5030. Can't read that, can you? 0.5030. And I figured the simplest solution, I could build a new shaft or whatnot, but I'm taking this bronze here, brass, and I think it's brass actually, or a piece of bronze. Yeah, hell, I don't know, but it's going to work for now. I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to bore a hole in it, ream it to 5030, turn it down to close to 17 millimeter. I know that when I press it on that shaft, it's going to expand a little. Then I'll chuck the shaft back up and turn it down to final dimension for a press fit with the new bearing, and that should hold it good enough. Should be a plenty fine repair for me. At some point I may rebuild this shaft, just punch this pin out, take this gear off, and rebuild the shaft, but for now I don't see the need. And there's lots of stuff in drawers and things like that to show you, but right now My buddy Bill's going to take that extra Johnson bandsaw pretty soon, and then I'm going to finish going through mine and then put a cover on it. And that's about it. Talk to you later.